You heard the Prime Minister right there, right ahead of the budget session of the Parliament. He's put out a message. Maushami is now joining us for the very latest. Well, Maushami, today is going to be a rather very stormy session, just like we discussed a little while back with the opposition up in arms against the centre over the Pegasus issue in the first day of the budget session of the Parliament.
Absolutely, Chaiti, and it's not only the snooping allegations, but also, the farmers' issue and the Chinese incursion that could actually be discussed and surfaced during the Parliament session. Now, remember what the Prime Minister just said, unexpected lines. He is hinting at the opposition parties, appealing to the opposition parties to come across the table in the floor of the House and indulge in a positive discussion that should in fact boost the growth of the country and add to the progress of the country. So there the Prime Minister's appeal, but it is apparent from the swords that have been drawn by opposition parties, several opposition parties slamming the government on the Pegasus row. It is really clear that the opposition will be very combative and aggressive. In a short while from now, Chaiti, this is also a historical day because even before the economic survey is tabled, we will see the President actually, his cavalcade in the trademark traditional style, reach the Parliament, where he will be received by several leaders, including the Prime Minister. So we will have to wait and see whether the speech of the President that will elaborate on the achievements of the government, how the opposition really responds to that, and thereafter the economic survey, where everybody will be waiting at the GDP figures. So very, very crucial day today, an opening of the budget session. This is the starting point.
But Maushami, just look at this. The allegations are very, very grave because the opposition attacking the government is accusing of centre of misleading Parliament and the Supreme Court on this particular issue. All right, Maushami, hold on right there. I'm coming back to you on this in just about a bit. But the President Ram Nath Kovind, his cavalcade heading towards the Parliament at the moment. Prime Minister said the MPs are going to have ample time to debate on all these issues. He also said that we will be debating with an open mind. As you can see, those grand visuals coming in, beautiful visuals, in fact, on your screens right now, on the first day of the budget session of the Parliament. The Prime Minister has also committed to make the budget session fruitful. In fact, let's listen into what's going on right there.
बढ़ने जा रहा है क्या आप देख सकते हैं राष्ट्रपति के अंगरक्षक ये अपने आप में एक अनोखी रेजिमेंट पूरी दुनिया में और राष्ट्रपति के अंगरक्षक न केवल भारत बल्कि पूरे विश्व में सभी रेजिमेंटों में एक अद्भुत और विशिष्ट स्थान रखते हैं और आपको बता दें एक बार फिर से रेजिमेंट की कमान है कर्नल अनुप तिवारी के हाथों में जो बुलेबू घोड़े पर सवार इसके अलावा सेकेंड इन कमान लेफ्टिनेंट कर्नल रमाकांत यादव के हाथों में और आपको बताएं कि राष्ट्रपति की अंगरक्षक टुकड़ी के सभी
All right, there you go. You can see President Ram Nath Kovind's cavalcade right there at the Parliament. It's the first day of the budget session of the Parliament. The Prime Minister just addressed and appealed to all MPs that we will have ample time to debate and debate with an open mind. You can see those gorgeous visuals that are coming in at the moment. The cavalcade of President Ram Nath Kovind as it enters. Day one of the budget session, all set to begin. Going to be a rather stormy start. We heard the Prime Minister just about a while back as well. And the day one of budget session is about to commence. You can see those gorgeous visuals that are coming in right there. And President Ram Nath Kovind, his cavalcade right there, he's going to be addressing the joint session of the Parliament. We're getting you live visuals at the moment. Let's also play out for the ones who just tuned in what the Prime Minister had to say right ahead of the budget session of the Parliament.
मैं आप सभी का और देश भर के सभी आदरणीय सांसदों का इस बजट सत्र में स्वागत करता हूं। आज की वैश्विक परिस्थिति में भारत के लिए बहुत अवसर मौजूद है। ये बजट सत्र विश्व में सिर्फ भारत की आर्थिक प्रगति, भारत में वैक्सीनेशन का अभियान, भारत की अपनी खोजी हुई वैक्सीन पूरी दुनिया में एक विश्वास पैदा कर रही है। इस बजट सत्र में भी हम सांसदों की बातचीतें, हम सांसदों के चर्चा के मुद्दे, खुले मन से की गई चर्चा वैश्विक प्रभाव का एक महत्वपूर्ण अवसर बन सकती है। मैं आशा करता हूं कि सभी आदरणीय सांसद, सभी राजनीतिक दल खुले मन से उत्तम चर्चा करके देश को प्रगति के रास्ते पर ले जाने में
जो है अपनी सरकार का जो कामकाज है पिछले साल का, उसका लेखा जोखा प्रस्तुत।
You heard the Prime Minister right there. This was an address just about a short while back. He says committed to make the budget session fruitful. Maushami, before I get to the stormy part of the discussion, which we're headed for on the first day of the budget session of the Parliament, let's re-encapsulate for the viewers what they're seeing on their screens right now. President Ram Nath Kovind is going to be addressing a joint session of the Parliament. The Prime Minister also made an appeal to say, let's try to make this as fruitful as possible.
आने वाले वर्ष की योजनाओं को
To the traditions of the past, this is actually a celebration of democracy. As we see the president in the traditional manner enter the parliament, he will be received by the speaker of the house and the chairman, speaker of Lok Sabha and the chairman of Raj Sabha. So the cavalcade of the president will be moving shortly just behind us at Vijay Chowk, where we are stationed, and thereafter at 11 a.m. he will be addressing the joint house and that will be the president's address. Remember, these are pandemic times. The COVID protocols are still being followed in the house, and adhering to those guidelines, after the president's address will Nirmala Sitharaman, the finance minister, table the economic survey, and tomorrow will be the budget that the finance minister will actually table. But importantly, even as there's a buzz, I will ask camera person Kripal to actually pan and show. Kripal ji, can you pan and show? We are seeing some movement behind us. Media personals actually in a huddle, as we can see those cars coming towards the Parliament House. These are interesting times, times when the government is claiming that after the COVID-19 pandemic, the economy is on a recovery path, and perhaps it is looking brighter, not as gloomy as it was last year. So some hopeful announcements in the budget are expected. The economic survey could in fact show a performance of the government that it has really done well. And in the middle of all that, we can see the president's bodyguards, the entire cavalry, the cavalcade actually heading towards the parliament. I'll ask my camera person to move a little forward if you can show, and in few seconds we'll see it right behind us. But you know, the opposition has also drawn the battle lines from the Congress, the Trinamool, the Shiv Sena, everybody slamming the government on the Pegasus row. We also know that the farmers' issues are going to be raised. raised. Remember, the MSP and taking the cases back on farmers that were registered during the agitation are sticking points. And this also comes in the midst of the assembly elections. So the 5 states going to polls, a high-octane battle is being witnessed in Uttar Pradesh, in Punjab and the other states, and that's why the budget session becomes extremely crucial. Will the opposition unity stand out? That's also a question because continuously there has been a tussle between the Trinamool and the Congress party. So that will be interesting. And right behind me, the president's cavalcade. You can see the men in red, the men in uniform. We saw during the Republic Day parade how Virat, who had served the entire cavalry for decades, had retired, and the Prime Minister and the President did bid him farewell. Here, marching right behind us, Chaiti, is the President's cavalcade that will reach in a historic moment the 10th budget of the Modi government. The 4th for Nirmala Sitharaman will be tabled in this session.
You know, very beautiful visuals indeed. Grand visuals and a historic moment on your screens at the moment. Maushami, President all set to address the joint session of the Parliament in just about moments from now.
Absolutely. That's about 11 a.m. that the President address will happen. All members have to be seated before that. So both the houses together will hear what the President has to say. Normally, you know, in the past, we've witnessed a lot of tussle and allegations and counter-allegations and boycotts over the President's address by the opposition to make a point. But this time round, we will see the opposition in attendance as far as the address is concerned. We will have to wait and see how the President does highlight the entire year, the performance of the Modi government, considering that unemployment is at a raging high and there have been lots of allegations and attacks by the opposition over the unemployment issue. So the unemployment will be a factor. We'll have to wait and see how the President really addresses that key issue, and also the state of the Indian economy, apart from all the other issues as far as the policies of the Modi government are concerned. But importantly, we will also see after the President's address in this entire session, a discussion in the first half, a discussion over the President's address, and that will see leaders of the opposition taking note of what the President has said and thanking the President and giving their opinion. So this is a part of the tradition of the budget session, and then we'll see the budget session concluding. So important points. We will have to see the opposition unity will be put to test. It will be a challenge for the government.
And speaking of which, Maushami, where does the opposition stand at this point of time on the back of that New York Times article that has come out? Do you see any business being conducted, given the fact that at this point of time, you can see the opposition up in arms against the government wanting answers on the Pegasus issue on the back of that article?
Absolutely, Chetty. That's a sticking point, because remember, in the monsoon session, in the winter session, we saw...
Hold on right there, Maushami, coming back to you in just about a bit, but listening in to what's going on at the moment, those historic visuals on your screens right now.
तो अब से कुछ ही पलों में राष्ट्रपति के अभिभाषण के साथ संसद के बजट
You're seeing those historical visuals that are coming in from the Parliament at this point of time. The budget session of Parliament all set to begin today. Minister of Finance, Nirmala Sitharaman, will present the Economic Survey 2021-22. Table her fourth straight union budget tomorrow with financial statements and tax proposals for the upcoming fiscal year FY23. Budget session of Parliament all set to begin today. Maushami also with us. Maushami, just before we got cut off, we were discussing the most important sticking point that could perhaps lead to a rather very stormy session with the opposition questioning the government on the Pegasus issue on the back of the New York Times article that has come on. And the unity of the opposition this time around, very importantly, will be put to test.
You know, absolutely. If you look at the New York Times article, it specifically does talk about how the Indian government did in fact buy that spyware Pegasus from the Israelis. So it's really clear that there will be several allegations that will be put on the Modi government, citing that article, because already if you see whether it's the leader of the party in the Lok Sabha, Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary, he's already mentioned and written a letter to the speaker saying that an adjournment privilege motion should be moved against the information and technology minister Ashwini Vaishnav. So clearly, if you see that not only in the Lok Sabha, in the Raj Sabha as well, the Mallikarjun Kharge is written to the chairman, the TMC, the RJD, the Shiv Sena, the NCP, everybody had made it a huge issue in the previous sessions, and now with the New York...
Apologies about that interruption again, but cutting across straight to all that's taking place. Up next is the President's address, President Ram Nath Kovind's address to the joint session of the Parliament.
Because of the need of cooperation.